I would like to show you just about Chrome, a couple of things that can be helpful to everybody. If I open a new Chrome tab up here, it should just log me into what I was logged in last time, and that's my teacher account. This little tic-tac-toe board is awesome. And that's where, if you click on that, you've got access to all sorts of Google apps that are used quite often. Classroom, Drive, where you can store assignments, docs and sheets. Here's the Meet app that we're using right now. Here's a chat app. So this is a really good thing to know. So keep that in mind. As we go to classes, when I opened up a class, I opened up a class here earlier. I'll do that again. That opens up my classroom. But that opens up my teacher one, so I'm going to change my account to the student that we've got set up. I'll close these two down. All right, so we're going to get in right now to looking at your classroom. This is one of the game changers for me, I think, when I saw the student side of it. When you see this, you come up and it shows all the classes that the student is enrolled in. My fake student is enrolled in my 3 Bible classes. No student is really enrolled in all 3 Bible classes, but my fake student is. So this is what I see, and when a student wants to click on that class, they just click on the button and they can see what's in the stream. So you're going to want to know the difference between stream and classwork and people. Okay, so the stream is just kind of a stream of all the events that are happening in class.
Kristen, I need help.
So, and hi there, Mrs. Sturdivant, how are you? So, hey, Mrs. Sturdivant, I will go ahead and mute you right now, which is fine. I'm going to use this little button. So you're good to go. You're fine. When we're on this tab, though, this little sandwich over here is huge. This is where you can go to a to-do list. This to-do list is amazing because it will organize your students, all the things that they have. These are things that have not been turned in yet that should have. So my student, my fake student, has all these things that were due on past days that are missing from the teacher does not have them. Here are upcoming dues tomorrow, due Sunday, due the 11th for different classes. You can sort this and just say, I just want to see one class. What's missing, what's due in that class. So you can do that for all classes or for one class. Then right here, done. You can see in all your classes what has been turned in. So if you're wondering, what has my student turned in to Mr. Jorg, there it is. This is the current grade. It doesn't mean that if they've resubmitted it, then it will just show the current grade. So I just want you to be aware that if they say, yes, I've turned it in, it might not be graded yet. So you're giving the teacher a couple days to make sure everything's graded. And that's also where, for me as a teacher, if I get to a due date, oftentimes in RenWeb, I will go ahead and put in a missing in my RenWeb so that it will send you a notification, just say this is missing. So if you get that email and you say to your son or daughter, I just got an email from Mr. Jorg, it says it's missing, that's because in RenWeb I didn't have it yet when I was looking on that date, and they subsequently could have gone and turned it in, and I just haven't changed the grade in RenWeb yet. So you can look here and just see what is turned in and what isn't, what the current grade is. Always feel free to email me if you want to figure out what's going on. But the to-do list and the done list and being able to sort it by the classes is really important. So that's that. I also wanted to show you up here that you can go to the calendar setting and you can look at that through the lens of the different classes, and you can see when things are due that way. And when you click on these things, it'll take you straight to the assignment. And so then you'll see, okay, neatly and carefully handwrite Philippians 2:6-8 onto a piece of paper, pay attention to spelling and punctuation, take a picture and attach it to this assignment. So we're kind of now into the place where we're dealing with assignments. At this point, there's nothing attached up here, and the instructions say take a picture and attach it to this assignment. Now there are a couple of ways that this can happen. Right here, add or create. If I want to, I can go to my Google Drive, and if I have saved, a picture into my Google Drive, like let's pretend right here, this is a different verse, but here I took a picture of a verse that I wrote out and highlighted that. I can add that right up here. That's the image that I already saved in Google Drive, and I've attached it, and now I can turn it in. If you're on your phone or device, when you click add or create, it also should give you an option right in here to add from camera or take a picture. So that's something that I'd like to say. Install all those apps that are up here that are used a lot. Install Drive, install Gmail and Classroom right onto your device or tablet if they're used a lot, and sign in through your student's account. That way, when you're into this area right here, if you go into that assignment through Classroom on your device or tablet and it says add or create, then you can just take a picture right off your phone, right off your tablet, and attach it right to the assignment, and then your child can turn it in. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I've attached this. I'm going to turn it in, and I can add a private comment down here to Mr. Jorg if I want to, and he can add a private comment back to me. And if there are questions that have to do with it. So now we should be able to go back and see that this assignment, go back here. I'll just go back to the to-do list. For 7th grade, in my done list for 7th grade, this is the one that I just turned in, the Philippians 2, 6 through 8. It was done late, but it's turned in. Now, as a teacher right now, I'm giving a lot of grace on late work. I just want to see kids starting to use this and starting to get on top of it. So we might clamp down a little bit more after spring break, as teachers and different teachers might be doing that a little bit differently right now. But for right now, I just want to see students turning things in and kind of working their way through things. So that's a good way to do this. I also wanted to just look and say, as a teacher, I may have graded something and given it back. I did an example of this earlier. Let me just see if I can find that. You should be able to go to an assignment, and some of them will say resubmit right here. If they've already turned it in and it's been turned back to them. Oh, I think that was 8th grade. Let me just see. 8th grade classwork. So this is another way you can find it. You can find it in your classwork up here, and this is a really good way to find it too. And I think I didn't do all these, but let's view this assignment. Well, mark that as done. I don't know. You'll find if it's got to be returned. Oh, that's that there will be a resubmit button there, and students can resubmit. So I just wanted to show you that. Finally, let's see here. You log into Classroom. I want to show you settings. So when we do this, let me log back in as that student. Some of the things that are going on, I think maybe students are getting inundated in their email because they're getting all sorts of emails and they're seeing all sorts of stuff in their screen about comments and things like this, and they're not sure where to look for stuff. You should go over to this sandwich, click on settings, and you can start to see different things like this. This is where you can change your email settings. You can turn off all email settings. I don't necessarily think that turning off all of them is helpful. Oops, sorry, down here. I think that maybe having some on is helpful, but right here is where you can negotiate all of that. If comments mention you, maybe you want to know if somebody's mentioned you in a comment or replied to a comment that you've made. So maybe you leave that one off, but maybe you don't care about all the comments that are made in posts where you've made comments. But maybe you do want to know if your teacher made a private comment in your assignment to you. Maybe you want that. Maybe you want an email notification to say, hey, my teacher said something back to me. I asked a question on that assignment. Now my teacher's replied. Maybe you want that email. Maybe you don't. You can turn these on and off as you want to. And so that's really a good function right there. Email and mobile notifications, maybe you just know there's a class that you just don't need it from anymore. Maybe there's one class you really want that notification. You want it from 6th grade Bible, but you really just don't need it from those other 2 classes. So you can also turn on class notifications that way. So I would say work with that, manage that a little bit, and see what is best so that the email doesn't get inundated, and you can kind of sift through that a little bit better. So that's the main thrust of what I wanted to share. I'm just wondering, oh, I wanted to show you this. You guys all joined this meeting just like the same way I would ask students to join the meeting, by clicking on a link, and it brought you here. And so hopefully that was a pretty easy process. And so if that's not an easy process, make sure you email me and I can let you know. When you're here, this little chat button, I tell the kids about this. While you guys are all muted, maybe you want to say something to each other and just say hi to somebody, or maybe you have a question for me and you want to type it in there, and that way you can kind of get the attention of the presenter a little bit. So that's one thing. Kids can decide to pin somebody's face. That if you pin somebody, click on their face and it pins them. And hi, Mr. Jansen. That just makes sure Mr. Jansen's right in the middle of it. I'm going to pin myself again because that's not fair to him. And then, like, as a moderator, I do have the right to just remove Mr. Jansen if I need to. I'm not going to, though. He's a good guy. So maybe in the chat, does anybody have a really important question? I don't want to take too much time more time on this recording, but there's something that I just missed in the course of this. If you came late, I would just say go back and see what maybe you missed, and then email me a question. But if you were here for the whole presentation, you have a quick question, you can either unmute yourself and ask, or if you want to type it in there into the chat, I can look at it. Otherwise, I'll stop the recording and we can talk a little bit more. Anybody out there? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.